Hi everyone, welcome back. And today we are going to read Mr. Popper's Penguin. So it's going to be a way different chapter from the last chapter I read you because I've been taking a break of reading. So we are going to read a way different chapter. So let's get started. We are going to be reading chapter 12. So let's get. Now I think the last chapter I read you was 9. Mom, when was the last chapter I read them?
I don't remember, but you should probably fill them in on what happened.
It's like 8 or something. I forgot what happened.
Well, we got a new penguin. Because of what?
In chapter 11, they got a new penguin because Captain Cook was getting sick because he was lonely. So they got him a new penguin named Greta. Greta. And this will be a girl penguin. So let's get started. Chapter 12. More months to feed.
More months to feed? How about you think about that?
More months to feed. Look.
More mouths to feed.
Okay.
Look at your letters when you read. How can you say month if there's no N in there?
More mouths to feed. So the next day, Mr. Popper called an engineer and had a large freezing plant installed in the cellar and took Captain Cook and Greta down there to live. Then he had the furnace taken out and moved upstairs into the living room. It looked very odd there, but as Mrs. Popper said, it was a relief at last not to wear their overcoats all the time. Mr. Popper was quite worried. Then he found that all these changes were going to be expensive. Look. Expensive. How many syllables is that?
How many?
This is my new hand. This is all the syllables in the word, and this is my new hand. There's 3 syllables. 3 syllables. I'm holding a remote with 3 fingers. Let's go back to reading. The refrigerator engineer was worried too. When he found that Mr. Popper had practically no money, however, Mr. Popper promised to pay as soon as he could. And the man let him have everything on credit. It was a good thing that Mr. Popper got the penguins moved when he did, because Mrs. Popper had been right about the eggs. There's eggs!
That was fast.
They literally just got Greta, though. They got Greta in the last chapter. And in one chapter, they already had babies.
I guess so.
That's crazy. the rookie and scarcely been moved to the basement when Greta laid the first egg. I don't get how they can have a baby. They just got it.
Well, it's an animal.
3 days later, the second one appeared. Since Mr. Popper knew that the penguins lay only 2 eggs in a season, it was astonished when a little later the third egg was found under Greta. Whether the change in climate had changed the penguins' breeding habits, Mr. Popper never knew, but every third day was a new one could appear, and a new one would appear until there were 10 in all. The penguin eggs are so large that the mother can only sit on 2 at a time. And this created quite a problem. Mr. Popper solved it. However, by disrupting the extra eggs under the hot water bottles and electric heating pads just at the penguin's body heat. The penguin chicks, when they began to hatch, were not so handsomely marked as their mother and father. They were fuzzy.
Their mother and feather?
Mother and father. They were fuzzy, draw little creatures who grew at a tremendous rate. Look at the little one. Look at it. I just wondered. Mom.
And it's my fault.
Okay. So imagine this being the little egg. It's a bubble. It's a bubble. That was a little egg. Okay. Imagine this being the little egg.
No point in wasting an outfit. I literally just got dressed to pick you up. I'm still listening, so keep reading.
I know. Hold on. Let me get the actual book. Okay. Imagine this being an egg. Let me make it bigger. Okay. Imagine this being an egg. That's a bubble. Uh-oh. Yeah. Ow. I'm in a space hat. Guys, this egg is so big it's covering my face. Guys, the egg is so big it's covering the camera. Guys, you okay? You okay? It's like wiping. Oh. Guys, my bubble flew. Okay, hold on. I blew a bubble and just... Oh my god. Okay. Imagine this being the egg. Imagine this being the egg. It cracks open. And then the little penguin comes out. Here's the little penguin. That was a little big. That was a little bit. So, and then, hold up, guys. And then, this being the mommy and the daddy. Oh, my bubble! Okay. And then, my baby broke. And then, yeah. Imagine that happening. That would be crazy, right? Captain Cook and Greta were kept very busy bringing food to them through the course. The paupers all helped too. The pauper, who had always been such a great reader, had definitely had no difficulty in thinking of names for the penguin children. They were
Maybe they're just picking names, so they're giving a bunch of names.
no, because in the
Oh my god, it won't come out.
they were Neslon, Nielsen, Columbia, Louisa, Jenny, Scott, Megany, Adena, Isabel, Ferdinand, and Victoria. Still, he was rather relieved that there were no more than 10 to name. See? Mr. Pauper, too, thought that this was about enough penguins for anybody, though they really did not make much of a difference to her in her housework. As long as Mr. Pauper and the children remembered to close the cylinder door in the kitchen, the penguins all loved to climb the stairs and led up to the kitchen, and never knew to stop unless they found the kitchen door closed. Then, of course, they would turn around and toboggan down the steps again. This made rather curious noise sometimes. When Mrs. Pauper was working in the kitchen, but she got used to it, as she had got used to so many other strange things in winter. The freezing plant that Mr. Pauper had got for the penguins downstairs was a large and good one. It made very large blocks of ice. Instead of small ice cubes. So that soon Mr. Popper had made a sort of ice castle down there for 12 penguins to live and climb over. Mr. Popper also dug a large hole in the cylinder floor and made a swimming and diving pool for the birds. From time to time, he would throw live fish into the pool for the penguins to dive for. They found this very refreshing because, to tell the truth, they had got a little tired of canned shrimp. The live fish were specially ordered and were brought all the way from the coast in tank cars and glass boxes to 432 Proudfoot Avenue. Unfortunately, they were quite expensive. It was nice that there were so many penguins because when two of them, usually Nauset and Cumus, got into a fight and began to spar at each other with flippers, the 10 other penguins would all crowd around to watch the fight and make encouraging remarks. This made a very nice, interesting little scene. Mr. Popper also flooded a part of the cylinder floor for an ice rink. And here the penguins often twinkled like a sort of small army and in fast dancing, marching movements and parades around the ice. The penguin Louisa seemed especially fond of leading these marching drills. It was quite a sign to see them. After Mr. Popper had the idea of training Louisa to hold a small American flag in her beak while she was proudly led the Sloman parade. Aww. I wish I had a penguin like that.
I need your help to get this off.
Okay. Because then we could have seen little them swimming in the pools, catching fish, going in their little ice house, marching around the parade. So cute. Jenny and Bill would often bring their little friends home from school with them. And they would all go down and watch the penguins for hours. At night, instead of sitting and reading and smoking his pipe in the living room, as he had done before, Mr. Popper would put on his overcoat and he would take his things downstairs. There he would sit and read, with his mittens on, looking up from time to time to see what his pets were doing. He often thought about the cold, decent regions in which the little creatures really belonged. Often, too, he thought how different his life had been before the penguins had come to keep him occupied. It was January now, and already dreaming to think of time when spring would come, and how he would have to leave them all day and go back to the painting houses. Guys, the next chapter is Money Worries, and I will be reading that chapter to you next week. Because that's when it's supposed to be done. So, hope you guys like this chapter for the week. See you next week. Bye, guys. Peace out. Bye, guys. Peace out.